What is going on, D2? It's Deadbolt here, bringing back some more SCP reaction, and today we have a Dr. Bob SCP. Haven't reacted to him in a while. SCP-1529, King of the Mountain. Okay, it's a Euclid class object. King of the Mountain. If I had to guess, I would say it's an SCP. It's Euclid, so maybe it's an SCP that teleports to random mountaintops across the world. I don't know what it does though. I can't really make a guess on that. Maybe it turns you into a mountain. I don't know. But be sure to subscribe to Dr. Bob. His videos are always freaking bangers. But alrighty, let's get into it.
A climber struggles on the side of the mountain. He's so close to the summit of Mount Everest that he can taste it. He just needs to triumph over this last difficult section, and he will have fulfilled his lifetime dream of standing at the top of the world. He needs to hurry though. At this altitude, the air is so thin and the temperature is so cold that your body is slowly dying. There's a reason this topmost section of the mountain is known as the death zone. He glances down behind him and spots something. Is that another climber? That's strange, he thinks. He was at the very back of his group, and there shouldn't have been anyone else coming up behind him. It must be a solo climber. The soloist doesn't look to be moving, though. He's just staring at him, and the climber can't seem to take his eyes off him. Suddenly, the climber starts feeling odd. He begins to feel warm and comfortable.
The hypothermia.
The aches and pains of the long journey melt away. He decides to sit down on a small ledge and relax. He watches as the solo climber comes towards him. He must be a professional with the way he effortlessly moves up the mountain. He watches him make great time, getting closer and closer. He loses sight as the solo climber reaches the same difficult section he had been struggling with. He imagines the solo climber will soon zip past him on his way to the summit. But just then, the soloist pops up right in front of him. He clasps his hands on the climber's shoulders and pulls him close, staring into his eyes with those dark, black goggles. They feel like they're pulling him into their depths, and there's nothing he can do to resist it. The climber tries to scream, but all that comes out of his mouth is silence. Hi, I'm Dr. Bob, and this is SCP-1529,
so it's a person,
also known as King of the Mountain. But first, a quick personal request from me. I need your help to spread the word about the lesser-known anomalies in the SCP Foundation's archives. The best thing you can do to help me is subscribe, turn on notifications, and then go tell your friends to do the same. This is a huge help and will let me bring you more and more SCP videos. Now, back to our file. SCP-1529 is an entity with a humanoid appearance that resides near the summit of Mount Everest in Nepal.
This kind of reminds me of the
8,000 meters, which places it in the part of the mountain referred to as the old death zone, where oxygen levels are too low to support human life for any extended period of time. It is roughly equivalent to an average human male in height and weight, and its outer appearance resembles normal mountaineering clothes, with a heavy parka, pants, and boots that are all white in color. Its face is completely obscured by a large hood, with the only visible detail being a pair of large, dark goggles. SCP-1529 has never been seen wearing any other outfit, and in fact, it is unknown whether these are articles of clothing at all, or if they are actually a part of its body.
That's so creepy.
SCP Foundation
I hate it when I hate when SCPs are like beings of any kind, you know, like from fan fictions or like, you know, creepypastas. Like their clothes as part of their body, you know, like not like Bayonetta where it's like her hair. But like actual, like if you cut their freaking like jacket, it's actually like their skin. That creeps me out, man. I don't know, like inanimate objects, like my cup, you know, like what if this was a being, you know, like that creeps me out. Like what if I like squeeze it and it starts bleeding? Like I'd freak out.
Anomalous entity lurking near the top of Mount Everest in the 1970s, when climbing expeditions to the summit became more commonplace among professional and amateur mountaineers alike. Rumors began to spread and told of a monster that was killing unfortunate climbers. In 1999, the body of George Mallory, who is believed to be the first person to reach the top of Mount Everest, was located, and photographic film found on his body was developed. From
Is he still up there?
It is now known that SCP-1529 was present at least as early as his 1924 expedition. When sufficient daylight and a lack of cloud cover allows observation of the peak by telescope, SCP-1529 can be seen sitting or lying on the mountain, apparently motionless in an inactive state. These motionless periods have been seen to last anywhere from 17 minutes to as long as 8 months. When active, though, it can be seen summiting and descending the upper portion of the mountain, though it never uses any climbing tools and will ignore established climbing ropes and ladders that have been installed by other climbers.
So he's just Spider-Maning this thing.
Easily traversing portions of the mountain that are considered too difficult or altogether impossible by experienced climbers. Additionally, SCP-1529 is not impacted by the freezing temperatures, extreme wind speeds, or low oxygen levels at the top of the mountain, and it has never once been seen to stumble, fall, or even lose its grip. It is unknown what prompts SCP-1529 to become active or enter a resting inactive phase, nor has there been any established correlation of these phases to weather, time of year, or traffic on the mountain. Its active periods have been observed to last between mere hours to several days, but the exact amount is hard to know for sure. Nighttime observation of 1529 has so far been impossible, even with thermal imaging cameras, since it produces no heat, with its temperatures being the same as that of the surrounding environment.
So it's just like a supernatural entity.
Phase, if a human climber passes the 8,000-meter mark, then SCP-1529 will begin to make its way towards them, putting itself in the path between the climber and either the summit if they are ascending, or their camp if they are descending.
Okay, but what if you like flood them? You know, like, I don't know if this is a thing. I've never climbed Mount Everest, obviously. But what if you send one person up from the bottom, you know, and you just like circle the whole mountain with people and you all make your way up? Can he just like, you know, pull some like flying Raijin type shit and kill you all? Or is he just focused on like the first one and he'll just make his way to the second one? Like, I wonder if it'll be possible to actually make it to the top and survive, you know, if you like employ some sort of strategy like that. Or is he just an automatic GG? Like there's no getting away from him. He got you, you know. He teleports like Slender Man.
It seems to prefer to go after solo climbers, or those that are significantly ahead or behind their climbing group. But it has been observed targeting climbers in a group when a solo opportunity is not available. Once SCP-1529 is within eyesight of its targeted climber, it will attempt to gain their attention and then lock eyes with them, which produces a hypnotic effect. The climber will find that they are unable to break eye contact with SCP-1529, and will then begin to experience feelings of warmth and euphoria, similar to the effects of hypothermia and hypoxia, also known as altitude sickness. The victim will feel the overwhelming desire to sit down where they are, and once they stop moving, SCP-1529 will quickly close the distance between them. Once SCP-1529 reaches the victim, death is almost a certainty. An examination of bodies has shown the cause to be from hypothermia. Strangely, it's been observed that victims seem to succumb within just 1 to 2 hours after having first made eye contact with SCP-1529, a period of time much shorter than usual for climbers trapped on the summit of Everest. After death, the victims' bodies experience an accelerated rate of decay, and after mere hours or days, the bodies become rotted and mummified at a level comparable to bodies that have been exposed to the wind and cold of the mountain for decades. Many of the over 200 deaths on Mount Everest have been attributed to SCP-1529.
So he doesn't kill everybody.
Encounter is almost always due to the intervention of another mountaineer. There have been several notable reports from survivors of interactions with SCP-1529. One, known as Incident 1529-1, is also the only documented instance of SCP-1529 descending below the 8,000-meter mark. During the incident, the entity entered Camp 5, located on the northern approach of the mountain at 7,775 meters, which resulted in multiple deaths, including 2 Foundation personnel who were operating the monitoring posts. One climber, who had initially believed to have been killed in the incident, was discovered to still be alive 2 days later when Foundation personnel were conducting investigations.
You're going to scare the fuck out of him.
Safely removed from the mountain.
They're dressed up like they're trying to cosplay as the SCP. Man, you're going to make him freak out and just like kill himself out of fear.
Though he required the amputation of several frostbitten fingers and toes. During an interview with the Foundation agent, they described spotting SCP-1529 just 10 minutes after leaving the summit of the mountain. After locking eyes with the entity, they began to feel happy, comfortable, and relieved, like they were back at home next to a warm fire. But then suddenly the warmth was gone, and they experienced a sensation of cold more powerful than anything they had felt before.
You're standing in the water and call it in. No.
As 1529 made its way towards them. When it finally reached them, it placed its hands on their shoulders and pulled them up into its face so that they were staring right into its black goggles. Images began to appear in the dark depths of the goggles. People warm and happy, sitting next to fires, in hot baths, or sunning on a beach. They tried to resist the strange pull of the creature with all of their might. They then heard something in their mind, a question from SCP-1529. It asked, "You would refuse my gift?" The stranded climber struggled to answer, using all of their willpower and strength to move their lips and whisper a single word. Yes. SCP-1529 responded by showing more images of people, but this time, they were bodies lying dead in the snow. Countless victims trapped on Mount Everest forever. SCP-1529 made them watch their deaths play out in long, drawn-out detail, a witness to every second of their demise. The climber was sure they would soon join them, but then they found something deep inside of them, a spark of life, a will to resist.
He's probably an SCP.
And with their final ounce of strength,
detain this man.
Punched SCP-1529.
Damn.
The goggles appeared to crack, and the next thing the climber knew, they were woken up by the Foundation recovery
Damn, he got
team.
balls.
Following this encounter, the climber never attempted to summit another mountain. When they eventually passed away some years later, an autopsy revealed that their cause of death was consistent with extreme hypothermia, frostbite, and
so he came back. He was pissed.
Not having been in a cold environment or above 500 meters in altitude in the previous 12 months. SCP-1529 has been classified as Euclid and is to be kept under telescope and satellite surveillance whenever possible, though telescope observation should make use of a delayed video feed, as observers have reported seeing SCP-1529 appearing to stare back at them, and reported feeling symptoms consistent with an encounter, including hypothermia and frostbite. The Foundation maintains communication with civilian mountaineering expeditions to prevent summiting attempts when SCP-1529 is active. The bodies of any victims are to be removed from the mountain if possible for autopsy, with their deaths being officially classified as having been from natural causes related to altitude sickness and hypothermia. Finally, and most troubling, is that aerial surveillance of another mountain has revealed an individual similar in appearance to SCP-1529. The location remains classified, and the local government has prohibited climbing on the peak, so threats to humanity are minimal at this time. But the Foundation will continue to monitor it and other mountains for anomalous activity. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob. And once again, please join me on my mission by subscribing, turning on notifications, and telling a friend to join us as well, as we delve further and further into the SCP Foundation's classified archives.
I like this one, but also, if he really got this butt hurt, like he really got this, like, this booty tickled over getting punched, that he was like, all right, I know I don't usually go down like below, what was it, like 8,000 feet?
But I'm gonna kill you.
He's really that pressed. He was like, damn, this guy really punched me. I'm gonna kill him. Or at least that's what I like to think, that he was just such a sore loser. He was like, bastard, I can't live with this, knowing that the one that got away, he's like Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal. But you know what makes this one so interesting? The fact that the SCP Foundation doesn't really know much about it. You know, like they haven't been able to like capture this one and put it in a cell and like study it like that. They can just like study it from afar. And even then, freaking some of them still die. I like SCPs that are like that. And also they kind of implied that there's another one, which is crazy. Which means either it has a way of duplicating, or maybe like every mountaintop eventually gets one. That would be cool. That would be a cool theory. Imagine I went to Red Rock Canyon and at the top, I don't know the names of the individual mountains. You know, I don't know if every mountain has a name, but like whatever the highest peak is at Red Rock Canyon, it was like there's another SCP-1529 up there. There's another king of the mountain for every mountain, you know? I also like that it could stare back through a telescope. That's awesome. Like, I always find that like a cool, like, I know it's like a cliche trope for like you're in a horror movie, you're looking at something through like binoculars or something, and they somehow know that you're looking at them and they look at you. I like that. I feel like that's a cool trope. And like you could still feel the symptoms. I wonder, dude, what would happen if you just kept looking? They should test that. You're the SCP Foundation. You always test stuff. Just put a D class, have them look at the SCP and see, like, will it just, like, come out behind them? Like, or will it, like, come out, touch them through, like, the telescope or something? I want to see what would happen then. You missed the best part. When observed via telescope, it began descending the mountain below the 8-kilometer range in the direction of the telescope. See, that would be awesome. If you're in extreme cold like Everest and you start to feel warm and comfortable, it's a sign that you're freezing to death. Yeah, I've heard of that. I heard that a lot of people who die of hypothermia end up taking off their clothes because they actually get, like, so hot. Like, they feel like they're getting hot, so they start taking off their clothes and stuff. And, like, that's how they find a lot of dead bodies. It's crazy. It's weird, the things your brain does. He's just protecting his high score. No one else will be at the top of Mount Everest as long as I'm alive. Asgore, I'm the king. Asgore, I'm the mountain king, bow down to me? Why does that name sound familiar? Who's Asgore? I want to say that sounds extremely familiar, but like from something. Asgore. Ah, that's why. Undertale. Okay. I still remember that I did a Let's Play on this series. It was such a fun series, but I completely forgot about Asgore. He's like the king, right? And we fought him at the end, but like, I remember his boss fight not being as difficult. Like, I still remember the Undying boss fight being harder than any of the late game boss fights, except for maybe Flowey. Okay, so Undertale also has fanfic. Does it get, like, dirty? Like FNAF? Or Sonic? I like how that's the first thing I think of when I see fan art. I'm like, okay, but when are we gonna start seeing random, like, weird sexual, overly sexual, like, gay ships, you know? Like, when's that gonna start happening? I feel like this is a very underrated SCP considering he contributed to the creation of the SCP-079? Who's that? 079. That also sounds familiar. Who are you? Oh, you're the computer? Is that the computer that 682 talks to? It is. Wow. So that SCP create what? Is this like one of those, you know, like the lore is different based on which lore you like take into account, you know? Because like that's a very weird choice that like this random mountain SCP is just like big brain and created that SCP. But alrighty guys, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Proceed with a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're greatly appreciative, I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe everybody. Bye-bye.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need